can you discuss how to keep the bass drum, large tom tom, and bass guitar out of each other's way? Any special treatments going to the subwoofer as opposed to the mains? Does that make sense,
Uh,
Paul?
yeah, a great question. And so, how to keep the bass drum, large tom, and bass guitar out of each other's way? Um, well, first of all, they're going to the mains and the subs, obviously, and and we really like to see the subs be fed off of the mains, so you don't have a separate knob for subs like on AUGs. And I know there are times I don't mind mixing that way, but we like to set up churches where the subs are being fed from your mains, and here's a big reason. Um, uh, you want to get a good sounding for, let's say, floor tom, for example, which has a lot of range in the main speakers and a lot of range in the sub. But you want to get a good sounding floor tom, and it wants to have a lot of bottom end. Let me change course. Let me say the kick drum, because that's the biggest example. The kick drum clearly has a lot of snap and a lot of mid range and a lot of punch that happen in the top speakers, but it's got subs down the bottom. And when your church is mixing, and I know this is a long way to answer your question, but when a church is mixing subs on aux, and for those of you who don't know, that means that only you have an aux send, that whatever you give that is what goes to the subwoofer, and it's becoming more and more common for systems to do that because you have a lot of control of your subwoofer. But the problem is people will use it as a crutch to get more bass into your subs rather than doing your miking properly. If you have your system with a subwoofer is coming off of the mains, that would be like what happens when you pop your iPod into the system, and the mix is what's putting the subs into the kick drum into the subs, because the crossover is doing its job. It's putting a lot of the kick into the tops, a lot of kick into the subs, um, because the crossover is doing its job. Now, going back to why that helps answer your question is you make your kick drum sound great, right? And it needs to have the right amount of top end. Some churches want it to be snappy. Some styles want it to be more round and woody sounding, or more flat sounding and thuddy. And then, but the mid range wants to be there for the definition, and then it wants to have the chest kind of pumping bottom end. And and when you're having subs on aux, you lean on that for your bottom end. So your miking may be way wrong, but you kind of, well, I can turn the subs up and now I can feel my kick drum, and so I'm happy. And that's why we don't like that. When you put the subs into your mix, or they're set up to be into your mix, now you're forced to mic that dang kick drum the right way, and then to EQ it just the right way. If it means tuning the drum, if it means moving the mic, if it means swapping the mic out, make it sound good. And if you do, there'll be plenty of bottom end, plenty of mid range, plenty of top end. Now you know you've got it sounding good and probably pure. Now, when you plug your bass guitar in, to answer your question, now you do the same thing and make that bass sound good. Don't make it too bright, or it'll sound too 80s smooth jazz, right? Or something. And it'll make it sound right, make it sound round enough. And and now when your band is playing, I never EQ the kick and the bass on their own. I always EQ the kick and the bass when the whole band is playing. So now you go through and you make the bass and the kick give you the same amount of kind of chest pumping feeling, right? So they both have the same amount of bottom end. You don't want the kick drum to be more subby, if you will, than the bass, or vice versa. They both want to give you that same energy on the bottom, and that happens at the very bottom. But then as they go up, the bass guitar is going to have more lower mid range, and it carries more of the notes. And then it's going to be kind of go away for a while. Then it's going to have more true mid range, 1K area for definition and what note it's playing, and then the kick drum will start to come into play at the 3 or 4 or 5K range. So by making sure the kick drum has a lot of sub energy at the 70 hertz range, give or take, and then snap maybe in the 5, 6K range, and the bass guitar has energy a little higher, like in the 100. I mean, it still has the subs, but it more has the 100, and then again the 1K. they both have these places to shine. Kind of goes back to our first question about the sonic landscape. Make sure they've each got places to shine. And then that same thing for that floor tom. Now, true, the floor tom is going to dominate the same space as the kick drum maybe, but it's not being played the same time or the same way. And it's a lot longer. So it's very common you want your kick drum to go away, right? So it wants to go boom, but it's gone. And even if it's a big round sounding kick drum, it's going to go boom, but it's gone. Whereas your floor tom, a lot of the times those will go boom, and it takes longer to go away. And that's okay, because the floor tom is more of an accent thing that happens every once in a while, and your kick drum's happening 2 or 3 times a measure. Hope that helps.